Um, how do you find, like sometimes the things that people release on the table can be like quite
Toxic.
old, or quite old trauma that they haven't even thought about in years or voiced to anyone, and it comes up in that moment. How do you find for the practitioners that we hold that well for them and honoring that?
I mean, that's trauma healing is my specialty. It's my passion. I like the subject. I think you're asking me how the practitioner deals with all the emotions that come off of the clients. That's one of my favorite subjects because, I don't know, what do people call it? An empath. I constantly have to work on not taking that on. That is easier said than done for me. This is a very deep subject for me, but the simple answer is, and depending on the practitioner, I could probably think of 50 things I do to clear my energy, to deal with that stuff, that subject, to not have it get on me, to how to take it off. What do I need to do to protect myself beforehand? Knowing the type of client I'm about to see and getting ready for that energy. It's very specific. Let's say they have a lot of victim mentality. It's almost like you have to put on a little armor. You can't just go in blindly. If you know an energy that you're going into a session with, you need to prepare, especially depending on the type of person and practitioner you are. You can't just go into a gunfight without a gun. You have to be prepared. This is some intense energy. Be ready. I'm not saying you're going to be this weird, aggressive thing. No. Just be prepared. That's a very intense subject for the practitioner, depending on how sensitive. Those energies that come off people are no joke. Depending on how deep the release is, regardless of how deep the work is, but how deep the release is, that energy is toxic. It could really sap your life force. For me, I'll share with you and everybody this really intimate part. Let's say that I have this client, right? I remember this one moment, and this is the idea of this share. Sometimes I'm feeling things in my body that something's happening, but I can't put to words. So I'm working on that connection of what I am feeling and being able to connect to it, put it to words, identify it and put it to words, and then communicate it in one way or another. I've been doing this a long time. I'm still learning that connection. What is happening to me? What the fuck is going on? Is this my sadness? Is it theirs? I'm going through a hard time. Is it me? Is it them? I'm like, it's that kind of a thing. So for instance, I remember this woman, this older lady, and she's laying down. She's not a usual client of mine. She's much older, but she loves me, and she shows up weekly. And so she's on my table, and I'm sitting at my chair right at the head of the table, and I'm just sort of have the back of her occiput. Just my fingers are there, just kind of grounding her and letting her lay down for a minute and breathe in the beginning of our session. And I swear to God, nothing makes me want to get up out of that chair. I'm so tired. I just kill me. I'm like, what is wrong with me? I have no idea. Until one day I said, hey, so-and-so, how are you doing emotionally? I think she said something like, I don't know, I think sad. And then something clicked. And I'm like, she's grieving. She's so compartmentalized in her feelings. They're so buried. My body is picking up on that activity. And I am going to sleep. And as soon as she started to talk about it and connect to it, my energy started coming right back. But as a new practitioner, even seasoned, depending on
totally
who you are and what you struggle with, I had no idea.
Yeah, it's interesting because I do a volunteer shift at a cancer care place, so I get Bodywork for an afternoon fortnightly. And when you were talking, I was like, oh my God, because I get way more tired working there. I can work here at home all day and I don't get tired. But then
it's the resistance.
Yeah.
It's the resistance in people that causes the fatigue. When people start releasing, fuck no, I'm not tired.
Yeah.
It gives me energy. It's inspiring. It's when somebody is resisting that I'm falling asleep. It's the resistance that's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's happening in them, and now I'm feeling it. Now, when I talk with people, maybe part of my special skill is I can hear where things are stuck auditorially. So when they speak in my ear, I can hear energetically where things are dissonant, emotionally and energetically. So I can feel what's going on in people really fast. But the body work is a whole other story where it's a different connection that causes the practitioner to be tired. And that resistance could be intense.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced it with other clients, but I guess there it's more in a row.
For instance, we're talking about the body work. The body work is designed to sort of address that resistance. Yeah, and depending on how much you want to fight, the work can be more intense. I mean, that's a very basic way of explaining it.
Well, in my experience, there's no perfect way to explain this work, because it is so different for each person. Everyone, even though we might be doing the same moves, and the releases have patterns, the way that each person has woven energy within their body and the way that their body releases and the things that they are holding are so same, but also different. So there isn't an easy way to explain it, I don't think.
People always ask me what I do for work. So it depends on the client and the situation, how much time I have. Most people have had a massage where it feels good and it works their muscles, but it's not specifically designed to connect them with their feelings. This work is designed to help you connect the physicality of the move, of the massage, to your emotional body. Especially Westerners, I will just talk trash about us just because it's fun. But a lot of people, no matter where you're from, have it separated. They have whatever's going on in their mind and their emotions and whatever's going on in their body, two different things. So the body work helps bridge that gap and connect, where it helps them feel what's going on deeper aspects on an emotional level and how that's relating to different aspects of their physical body that are hurting. You keep getting worked on, it peels these layers back off the body, where you start to connect more intimately with deeper layerings of the body and what's going on with you energetically and emotionally. So much so that a part of this work is kind of trauma healing related, where if you have certain aspects of your life or your physical body that aren't working very well and you don't know why, typically it's some unresolved trauma stuck in the body. So while you are getting worked on this type of massage and your emotions are starting to be engaged, you start to connect to unresolved emotional traumas that are stuck in certain areas of your body. And that's by design of the work, and typically not just the moves, but the practitioner's intention is for that to happen.
And I've always wondered, I think it would be so juicy to receive an adjustment after Rumi. Just how do people respond to that?
For the most part, it's just natural. Some people have little reservations about physical adjustments, manipulation. No, why? With you, do you do adjustments?
Occasionally, but not as a regular thing.
Atta wasn't so hip. For everybody that's listening, one of my teachers who's Maori, and I understood it. I really saw it. With my teacher, in her environment, when she's doing her work with her energy, my physical adjustments are an interruption in what she's trying to accomplish. But with my clients and my energy, this is just normal.
Yeah.
We got into trouble, me and Manu, another teacher of mine who's since passed away about a year ago, who was my other teacher, Atta's sort of sidekick. We got into trouble because Manu just liked seeing me adjust clients. So he would work on them in their sessions, and then he would go, Harold, do this part. He'd either want me to freeze something and do it, a manipulation in that way that they needed some structural healing, or he wanted me to feel that there was a problem there. So we used to get into trouble. We were very cheeky with each other because Atta would be like, what are you boys doing over there?
And have you, I mean, I guess one question that I have here, which I've been asking people is, like, did you have a journey towards owning the label of a healer? But I know that you don't technically use that term. But do you see yourself as a healer, or is it more a body worker for you?
Oh, God. Healer, no. Body worker, sure. Chiropractor, sure. I don't know what I necessarily call myself. I know what I do. Healer, no. Because, well, even in chiropractic, you don't use that word. The healer is not the practitioner. The practitioner is the facilitator. Healing doesn't come from the practitioner. Healing comes from within. The power that made the body heals the body, as chiropractors would say. So you can interpret that in any language or any healing modality, but the body is always healing itself, right? Yeah. The body is always healing itself. Even if you never go to any practitioner, the body is always healing itself. It's doing the best it can with what it's got. Now, if it's put in its proper position or alignment because something happened, it could work more optimally, but it's always healing itself. So the facilitator helps optimize that healing. Healers, it's a weird word. So facilitator of healing, yes. But that doesn't have a ring to it.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting concept, I think, in terms of that.
At least for me, that's how I think about it.
Yeah, totally.
What about you? How do you think about it?
Well, I've been through a whole journey. Like, I think I've been calling myself a healing artist. So it's like the art of healing, learning all the different modalities. But yeah, so that's sort of the term I use. But I've been more comfortable with the term healer of late, as I think I've been integrating that label and like that role. And I totally always see it as a co-creation. Like, the healing energy couldn't be channeled through without me, but it also couldn't be channeled through without as you said, like, if the client's not co-creating with me, if they're resisting, neither of us is doing any healing. It's not present.
Well, a couple things. Why don't you just call yourself Maori healer?
Me?
Yeah.
Because I relate to being Māori and non-Māori, because my mum's not Māori. So I try to bridge both. But
is it the distinction, Maori healer? Isn't that what you do?
Yeah. So I train Māori healing, and I do work with Romirumi and MiriMiri, which are the types of healing.
Well, like, if people say, Harold, what do you do? I would say Maori trained healer and body worker and chiropractor. Yeah. But I'm not Maori.
For me, I guess, being similar to this discussion we had earlier around being Māori, and all of us are healers. Like, we're taught healing from a really young age. So everyone, even if we're not trained in the specific moves, the actual way of healing and way of doing the wairua around the way we live is taught from a really young age. So I don't see that as something that's specific to me.
You're half and half.
Yeah, totally. I'm half and half. And you know how, if you ever see us, you would have seen this many times, like how we open, mihi, pepeha, like that sort of thing is very much acknowledging all the things that have made you you, and acknowledging all the energies that are contributing to that. And so for me, in doing that, I don't feel like comfortable to use the word I'm a Māori healer, because I feel as if I've got so many influences that aren't purely Māori. Yet the foundation of what I do is that, the technique is that for sure. But there's so much more in terms of like who I'm mihi to, like who I acknowledge that isn't that.
Of course I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'm just listening to how both personally, maybe how you have conflict and your cultural way that you talk about things. But even the way I explain that, there might be a cultural difference between Westerner and Maori, Australia, that area. You might hear it differently.
No, totally. I think many things we do. And it's interesting because when you say about that conflict, I feel like that for me has been a large part of my conflict in stepping into this work, is like my skin color, and that I don't look as Māori as like other people that practice it and things like that. Like that's totally.
You don't deserve the label and the title.
Exactly, but I also don't relate to that title either. Do you know what I mean? Like, as I relate to
artist.
Yeah. For me, like, these discussions are good discussions to have as an Indigenous person.
No, but you have a conflict of being half.
Yeah.
Whether it's your right or you deserve. Or something like that?
No, I don't feel that. I think I feel an obligation to honor my indigeneity, so my Māori heritage. I feel a conflict with my Western way of being that is more individualized, and then the more collective and Māori teachings, and sometimes not when I'm doing the work by any means, but in the process of discussing and sharing, that those pieces can be fighting a little bit. Yeah, but I don't actually feel half. I feel more blessed than most people, to be honest. Like, I feel more like
sure.
I got more than most people.
Well, you got training from both worlds.
Yeah, I feel
the integration process. There's some healing to do in integrating the two worlds. You have two different cultures that you're brought up with.
Totally.
It's a powerful healing for you specifically to go through.
But all of us who are Māori, actually, because we all grew up within two cultures. So we all grew up within a Western style country that was influenced by Māori, but at the time of us growing up, it was predominantly Western. So we understand the Western world very well, but the Western world doesn't understand us very well.
So there's integration process for probably everybody.
I feel that, and this is a really good discussion, because in my journey, the more I've owned things that I do, or the way when I'm in resonance with how I describe things, it's like that cuts out an energetic loss that's happening in my work. So if I'm not like getting racked up, if someone asks me what I do and I can explain it really clearly, the energy is not stirring and then going out towards my own ego or my own concerns, rather than I'm just concerned with that person.
I had to integrate chiropractor with Maori trained healer.
Yeah.
I had to break up my identity when I lost my license. It fractured my identity as a chiropractor. I was very new as a chiropractor, so it made it a little easier, but I was very proud to be called one, to be a part of this sort of group. Love being a chiropractor. I still do at my heart, but I don't have an identity as being a chiropractor. I don't really even have an identity as being a Maori trained healer. There's no like confusion or conflict. It was intense before. Wait, what do I do with people? How do I charge them? So I charge by the hour. I used to charge not by the hour. Adjustments were 15 minutes. An exam was 30 minutes. X-rays were this amount of time, right? So yeah, that was a big integration period for me. So it's different. You have your own path to integration, and I had mine. Oh yeah, that's right. I use the word trained. Māori trained healer and bodyworker.
Yeah, whereas like for me, it's been a lifestyle. Like I've lived it my whole life, so I'm not necessarily trained, but I am trained. But that doesn't relate to me. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, training is very Western concept. And I don't feel I've been trained in a Western way in this work at all. I actually have used it as
it works for me too.
Yeah, I've used it as an example for the non-Māori trainees that I have as a way that they could describe it, because I think it's in a Western way and honouring not being Indigenous, not being Māori.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful way to do that. So I love it.
It branding wise, for people who are always wanting to know, what do you do? Who are you? Oh, you're not a chiropractor. You know, they always want to know, put you in a box so they can visualize what you do. So it sounds very unique. So that captured in the Western world, it would be different out by you. It would be another thing, more familiar. But here, it has more of it attracts intrigue. What's that? So now there's a level of like attraction. That's all I'm looking for in a certain way. Intrigue or curiosity to spark someone in a certain way, then I'll go with it. Cool. So people are like, wait, what? I said, well, think like deep tissue massage, but you're also going to see your therapist at the same time through this body work. Really? I said, yeah, my clients, they laugh and they cry and they get pissed when I work on them. And it's like an all-inclusive therapy, all in one. They're like, whoa. They're like, Māori? How do you spell that? And that's the conversation. I was just thinking about the people listening to this, like new practitioners or people who have been studying for a while.
Yeah. And on that point, I think though, that business side of it, as a practitioner, you know, deciding on how to charge and all that, like, is there anything you can think of that would support them from that place of maybe not feeling that they could charge, or what does that mean, and like showing up for it?
Oh God. I mean, I've been doing this for so many years, but I'm thinking about new practitioners or that conflict, you know, as you continue to receive the work and heal internally, especially value, where you value who you are and what you do, whether you do it for $80 or $8, or you want to give a complimenting session, you know the value of it for yourself. And typically, yeah, you want to charge for what you do. The healthier I got, the more I started to charge. The better I got at the technique, the more I started to charge. I followed my teacher's structure and then started to make it my own. You know, that's typically how you start.
And I watched a thing last night where you were talking about doing media therapy and maybe not feeling comfortable talking, you know, sharing about the work or things like that. Do you have any advice on that for others, or want to talk into that space?
That's a long journey. How do I promote myself? How did I get my first client? How do I continue to get clients? I was not very comfortable in the beginning. I mean, I was going through a horrific time in my life. I was emotionally a mess. And I could do what I do better than I could talk about it. So I'll tell your clients, your people this. I could do what I do better than I could speak about it. That languaging I started to get stronger in my communication skills. But that was, you know, sharing what I felt and communicating that effectively was not my strength. I handled everything physically. So I could do what I do better than I spoke about it. Marketing myself wasn't very good publicly. I was going through a horrific time of grief and sadness. And so, you know, I was I lost my license, and I've been learning this sort of body work therapy. What do I call myself? Do I say chiropractor anymore? I was so fucked up. So I could do what I do better than I could speak about it, you know, and everybody starts with their sort of strength. And, you know, some people are very good on speaking on camera, you know, on Instagram or Facebook, and they do videos and they talk about their work. Some people are very comfortable in front of a camera. Some people are not in the beginning. That's something I have to work on, or creatively I work on it, but that was not my specialty. So everybody's going to build their practice with their clientele in a different way that's particular to them. There's no right way. But I will say, once again, it's going to sound cliche, but it's based on who you're being. So if who you're being is, I guess, in alignment or coming from a good place, people just seem to be attracted to you. So that's why, you know, being worked on is really important, you know, for a long time. I always know that if I keep my head out of my ass and I'm not like effed up with things that are bothering me in my life, and I work on, I can do nothing about it going up there, but if I'm committed to keeping my head out of my ass and free and open, people seem to be attracted to me. They want to know about my work. But when I'm in a dark place and things are sort of caving in and I'm not doing well, things close down, people cancel appointments. And I know that relationship my entire career. So my commitment is always in who I am being and healing and opening, and the rest kind of takes care of themselves. Sure, I practice certain things, communicating, you know, what I do for a living, that helps without just bursting into tears. I don't know what I do. Come see me. You know, I would even say to them, look, I'm way better doing what I do rather than talking about what I do. Here's my card, look at my website. I've said that before. I've said all kinds of things. And as long as I was being really genuine and honest about where I was at and not trying to hide my anxiety or whatever it was, it worked. For anybody new, you're going to build your practice, you know, specific to you. You might have strengths that, you know, Gabrielle and I don't have. Go for it. You know, you're a new, okay, ready? You're a new student and you're amazing on Instagram and Facebook and you love being on camera and you want to talk about your journey being mentored by Gabrielle. Great. Start, what do you call it? Putting videos together about what you learned that day. Oh, I learned this new technique. Oh, this is what I realized about myself. Catch you next week, guys. Oh, for those who want appointments, here's my phone number. You can start building a following that, I mean, I'm not good at that.
Yeah, totally. And I love, there's two things I love that in what you said. And one is like, work to your strengths.
Yeah.
Like amplify your strengths, because we all have different ones, and so then we'll serve more people in general. The flow on effect will be awesome. And the second is, I'm going to use the Māori word, but the wairua will always take care of it, which means like the way your spirit talks and vibrates will automatically guide the people towards you. So if we're now, similar to how we're talking earlier about clearing, the more clear we are, the more layers we delay, people can feel that like internal strength, and they're like, yes, there's something there for me. And that's beyond words. It doesn't actually matter what we say.
You nailed it. So the clients that have come to see me had nothing to do with my explanation. It always had to do with who I was being, and they just were attracted to me in some way. Or my therapist sucks. I think I need somatic, we call it a somatic healing. I need something from my body. I can feel I'm holding on to something. Great.
Yeah, just is there anything you want to share either about your practice, how people can connect with you, or any messages that come through to you before we close?
Certainly, if you're in LA, feel free to reach out. I'm sure Gabrielle will put my name of my Instagram or something. You could write to me if you're ever in LA. Whoever goes to see Gabrielle or is being mentored by her, you're in good hands. She's a good egg. You're going to do this work if you have a passion for it. And if you don't have a passion for it, we're going to find out really fast. because doing this work is not for people who don't have a passion for it, because it's not easy to deal with client after client, week after week, with people who are dealing with some, especially these days, some intense things. And conversely, if you're passionate about it, well, then just keep leaning into healing yourself, learning the technique, learning some skills of maybe how to, you know, market yourself and things like that. But like, you'll keep figuring it out. And besides, what's the alternative? If it's your passion, like it was mine, you'll just keep figuring it the fuck out.
And the teacher will appear when you need it.
Teachers, you know, different things that could help you with any shortcomings that you struggle with. But if you have a passion for it, that will account for, you know, pretty much all of it. But like I said, what's the alternative? So just stop complaining, just keep healing, keep at it, and your practice will grow, and then make it your own. Make your practice your own. Do not try to fit into the mold of what somebody else does. That won't work. And including your personality, not just your technique, but your personality. Your clientele will be attracted to you if you're being congruent in alignment with who your personality is specific to you. So if you're a jokester, you're a jokester. If you're serious, you're serious. If you're nurturing, you're nurturing. If you're a ball buster, like, you have to be congruent with your personality. So it's not just your technique, but who you're being. You want, if this work is channeled, it will start to channel. It'll start to come through you. You don't, anything that's not congruent, you're going to have a problem. And that's the healing you have to continue to do. So just let your passion, you know, continue to light the way. God, I sound like a terrible.
You sound like channeling me.
Okay, I'm tired, everybody. I'm tired. I gotta go.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome. Okay, so we'll talk soon?
Yeah, talk soon.
All right, bye, everybody. Thank you for having me on.